Right, good afternoon and welcome to Enriching Environmental Encounters, brought to you by the South Downs National Park Education. This is Nature's Classroom. My name is David Melville and we're going to be looking at life cycles today for Key Stage 2. And I'm very glad to be joined by a Key Stage 2 teacher from Holy Trinity School in Cookfield. Would you like to introduce yourself, Gabby, please?
Hi there. I'm Gabby Newton from Holy Trinity. I'm a Year 5 teacher, and we're very lucky at Holy Trinity to have about 6 acres land. So we spend a lot of time in Forest School and doing outside learning. And tomorrow we have got a survival day for the children in Year 5, which is going to be focusing on survival techniques like tracking and animal search. And we're going to be doing some pond dipping in the afternoon as well.
Good, and it was very fortuitous to chat to you this week at school just to consider the timing of this event. So without further ado, I'm going to get on with looking at a couple of starters that I do. This might not be totally relevant for you, Gabby, but we'll get on to the actual insect starter in a minute. First starter that I would do, a couple of pictures that children can take. Basically, I get them maybe in pairs and to blindfold themselves, just with obviously this sort of blindfold. And what I do then is they walk around the place and they maybe see something like a really beautiful tree here. So what they would do is open the blindfold, close the blindfold again, and then they swap over. So they do. Second thing I would then do is we'd get rid of the blindfold and they put hands on each other's shoulders, and that's the shutter really. If you can imagine, they have to lead somebody around the tree roots very carefully, and then when they see a nice view, it can be a micro or macro, they open the shutter, they close the shutter by touching the shoulders, and then close it by touching the shoulders again, and that's another way to take a photograph. Just engages children in the natural environment. So today we're going to start with life cycles, and I'm going to do creatures first, insects and invertebrates. First thing that we would do, I would get a few puppets really from early years, something like the hungry caterpillar. Yeah, I've got one here I prepared earlier. Yeah, that sort of thing. It's a book bag, basically. It doesn't cost much for the school to do that if you chat your Key Stage 1 teachers. And then the butterfly, of course, well, I got this one made specially, but you know, they do have butterflies and all sorts there. So I would then have a few labels and I'd just get them to start thinking about what is a life cycle. Now, so easy to do this linear, but I can just change the view. Yeah, you have to emphasize the fact that it is a cycle. So we always start, if we think about butterflies, it's a complete metamorphosis. If you think of butterflies, I think there's about 5 different species that use our nettles. They lay their eggs under the leaf, and I have a leaf here with a few eggs on it. Then, of course, we have the caterpillar. That's the next stage, the larva. And we also then have the pupa as well. This is one little pack here. And finally, we have the butterfly. So we'd get the labels out, get them, maybe a few children in front of the class to put them in the right order. It's quite easy, really, but it just focuses them nicely. Now, this is a complete metamorphosis because the butterfly has several molts when it's a caterpillar or the larva. And then basically it would have a resting time when there's a great transformation takes place in the pupa or chrysalis. Now at this stage it turns into some sort of special soup and provides energy for the transformation to take place. You could say it's magical or miraculous depending on your faith or life view. It's one of the disadvantages of that is it's quite vulnerable at that stage because it stays still. One of the advantages of this is this complete metamorphosis is that there is no competition from the larva, caterpillars, to the butterflies. they both eat different foods, so that's one advantage of that. Complete metamorphosis. Other creatures that do a complete metamorphosis, and we'll look at some of them later, are bees and ladybirds. And that's something we're going to concentrate on later when we do the pollination side. Right, so when we've got that clear, you could swap the children over a little bit. I then think a good activity today would be to catch some creatures and to do some pond dipping. Let me change the view again. Yeah, so pond dipping. Now, I don't exactly have a pond here. This is what our dog uses for drinking, but it's not exactly a pond. So I've arranged with a neighbour to use their pond, and I'm going to go across the farm now just to see what we can see for pond dipping. It'll be good to do this because, as Gabby said earlier, we are going to be demonstrating pond dipping for tomorrow's event. So, very quiet today. Well, actually, it's quiet every day in this place. Let me just change the view. Right down on the farm, there's all sorts of creatures. The hens and the rooster safely locked up, I've been told. Spectacular video otherwise. Right, so it's quite a small pond, but I'm very glad to say that it is alive from the point of view that had some frogs spawned in it earlier this week or a couple of weeks ago. And that to me is a vote of confidence whenever frogs are prepared to lay their young in a pond like this. So yeah, it should provide some frog spawn, at least frogs, tadpoles. Right, okay, so if I just, well, that should be good. Let me just see that it's set up quite well. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need for pond dipping. Hi, we started recording. Very welcome to join. They don't mind introducing themselves if they're on the camera. So, yeah, first, the equipment you're going to need, I think, Gabby, is, I would always have a bucket. It's always good to have a bucket, as well as staff having Wellington boots. I have a white tray, a spoon, so you can see things and have a look clearly. Plastic spoon in my case. I also have one of these waterproof field studies guides from the Field Studies Council, of course, just so you can identify what we're doing here. Have we got two or one?
Sorry, David, just a quick question.
Yes, Gabby.
Where can we access or can I get them online or anything, the life cycle sheet that that we can follow through and that we can use for the
Field Studies guides?
Yeah.
I could nearly drop them in tomorrow for you. But yeah, you can get them online. They're about £3 each. So, and you can get them online, about £3 each. You really do need them. I mean, I think children quite enjoy just looking at the different things, even if they don't get the names of them. But if you really wanted to work out the names and identify things, you would need one of these. Okay. So this is a teacher from Cookfield. And
hi there.
You want to introduce yourself? What's your name?
I'm Samuel.
Samuel, you're going to help me to pond dip today, are you, Samuel? Have you ever pond dipped in this pond before?
Just briefly.
Have you? Okay. Oh my goodness, got the whole family here. Let's keep it rolling anyway. Hi, George. George, Roger. Sorry, I'm getting all mixed up. So, and one of the most important things is a good net then as well. You're going to need, Gabby. I'm on my knees at the moment. Okay, this is a conservation quality net. So I like to have the good equipment. You can get away with other plastic nets, but basically this is what we're going to use today. Oh, the sounds of nature and the sounds of the countryside are wonderful. Right, so that's something I caught earlier, Roger, just in case we don't catch anything. So my advice for this is basically test the depth of the pond by putting, thank you, test the depth of the pond by putting the wooden end in. That's just what I do. And then when you're dipping, you really have to dip just on the surface. If you go to the very bottom of the pond, you'll get a lot of pond weed and muck, basically, and that won't help your visibility. So I'm going to ask Samuel to try around the surface. Another good place to catch things is basically around any reeds or sedges. There tends to be a lot of snails around there at the very least. Okay, Samuel, do you want to try it then? You just keep a good hold of it. Oh, we've even got a puppy here today. Oh my goodness, this is wonderful. Hey, boy. He gets on well with my puppy, so that's why he knows me. Okay, right. Would you like to try and just to see what you catch? Now, another thing I do is always fill up the tray half full before you start. Yeah. Now, these creatures, some of them will be adult, some of them will be juvenile. Quite a lot will be in the very early stage of larva, especially if it's dragonfly and damselfly larva, which I have heard they had here last summer, actually. So I'm expecting high expectations. If we're really lucky, we'll get a leech as well. As soon as we've caught something, I will put the camera towards the tray. Any luck? Anything wriggling about? Any luck, Samuel? Let's have a look. Ah, I think you might have. Yeah, I think we've got some very early tadpoles. So if you can see, when I'm I turn this inside out and just dip it into the water. Have another go, Samuel, and I'll get something we caught earlier. So let's have a look. I had a spoon there a second ago. Oh yes, it's well camouflaged. So some of the things I'll just show you here. Don't know if you can see that or not, but there's definitely some snails. Yeah. I will just turn this upside down, Samuel. That's it. Thank you. And just dip it in again. Hope you can see that. Yeah, not bad. Keep fishing, as I say. Like all fishing expeditions, sometimes we don't catch an awful lot. Now, I'm not looking at the field studies guide, but I can already see some mosquito larvae, which isn't surprising, is it? I mean, they're part of nature as well, and they certainly keep a lot of other things in the ecosystem going, all sorts of creatures. That's something you might want to look up. Yeah, that looks, yeah, it could be mosquito larva. It could be something bigger. Of course, that's what we got the field studies guide for. I don't have a lot of time to look at this at the moment. There's some frog, as in tadpoles in the bucket. Okay. Oh, well done. You have caught quite a few things. It's definitely a very alive, healthy pond. Let me get the rest of this in. I think you'll find there's quite a lot of tadpoles there. I'm not sure what state they're in. Yeah, but there's definitely there's still a few tadpoles that are living there. There we go. Okay, I think we'll move on from that. So this is an incomplete metamorphosis, basically because the young of these creatures, a lot of them, they look like the parents, and basically they don't have the pupa stage or the chrysalis stage. They just tend to molt several times, so it's called incomplete metamorphosis, and dragonflies come under that, so they do. Thank you very much. That's been very useful. Some of my colleagues are pond dipping tomorrow, so I always put it back very gently, back where it came from. Well, we don't have a lot of time to go through it all here, but that's been very useful. I'll come back and get my things later on. Okay. Right. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, and thank you, little puppy. Okay.
Chris Packham or
something. I'll take that as a compliment. Right, let's go. Let's go. Yeah, another teacher. I think we've got a ranger from the Peak District as well. Okay, guys, I'll see you later. Right, so I hope that's helped just to demonstrate pond dipping. I mean, oops. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. That was really, really helpful just to see the technique of it.
Yeah, children love it, so they'll be squealing with delight, and they find the most minuscule things.
Hopefully we can find lots. Our pond is very alive, so I'm hoping that there'll be lots in there. Thank you.
Sounds like it. Sounds like you've got quite a special place. So then, what I do with plants, I include trees and plants. This is a mature tree, obviously. All trees are plants, but not all plants are trees, I usually say. And the difference is the big woody stem, which supports so many more branches and leaves, of course. Then I think it's good just to get children to see a few saplings like we have in this little hedgerow, which I'm nurturing here in a piece of common land between 3 houses. It's got over 10 species. I think this one is rowan by coincidence. And because that's one of the classes in year 5, isn't it? Good food. And
yeah, it's the other classes, rowan, and then I'm pine.
Back to nature's classroom, as they say. Let me just change the view. Yeah, so basically, I would let's have a look. Yeah, I would definitely show them seeds and get them. Can you see that there? And then show them the progression from a sapling to an immature tree to a mature tree. If you can show them this, like get a big oak tree and show them some immature trees beside it, all the better. And then just show them that this increases with years and time. I mean, it sounds pretty obvious, but it's just making the connection. And again, you have to talk about germination, the seeds germinate, and also the flowers, and they pollinate, and then the tree eventually dies, but the seeds, they sprout, and they continue the cycle as well. So that's a basic activity in that. The fun activity, I would then get them to plant a hedgerow. So I would hedgerow sapling, or if it's in the autumn, maybe use the acorns, something out in the wild. If you're very lucky and you have a raised flower bed or something like that, they could plant anything basically, but it's good for them to make that connection. After they've done the sketching, it's a bit more lively. So what do you need for that? Well, you would have to actually, you would have to buy, let me just change the view again. Yeah, you would have to buy hand trowels, and I like to include gloves. And you would have to get, if it's hedgerows, you'd have to get some of these saplings as well. Yeah, they're not hugely expensive. You get a whole lot of beech and different hawthorns good as well, and you could get them in a set of about 10 or 20. So you would have to purchase equipment for that. Okay, so where are we now? We're on to the creatures bit. As part of the creatures, then I would also, sorry, get the view back again. That's my toolkit actually of education resources. As part of the plant cycle, I would also include pollination, mainly because I think plants are not, they don't move as much. They're exciting for adults, but maybe not for children. And I think they're fascinated by bees. So I would include the bee pollination in that. Basically, what I would do is explain that a lot of our bees are under a lot of pressure, and that pollination is another magical process in the life cycle, which they can support the bees if they understand that while they're under pressure. We have about 270 different species in this country. We've only got about 20 honeybees, so most of them, 250 species, are solitary bees. Solitary bees like this one, which is called red mason bee. There's other bees like carpenter bee, mining bee. They're called solitary bees. The good thing about them is that they don't sting. They don't actually sting, and at the most they might get a little pinprick, but I don't think it's very serious. Not like a bit more serious with honeybees. Obviously, first dater.
Are there any features of recognizing the difference between those bees compared to the honeybees for the children? Is there anything that's real standout?
Yeah, they tend to be smaller. Some of them are very similar. I mean, the red mason bee is obviously a reddy color. I would advise you to get a field studies guide. I have one in that cupboard there, but get a good one of bees and just get to know them really. Bumblebees tend to be sociable bees. We don't gather honey from them, but they tend to be the social bees, like honeybees. Whereas these are solitary bees and will nest in just a little sort of tube or a grass, a stalk of hogweed or something like that. So what I do with the children for this activity is basically, actually I've made a little hotel here. I don't know if you can see that. That's like a bug hotel. And you can make a bug room with just a tin. So all you need is a tin, and be very careful because tins are quite sharp at the top. So with some gaffer tape, just put it around the edge of that. And then if you roll up some newspaper with a pencil, this is very low investment for the school compared to maybe purchasing a few nets. I'm happy to email you what you need for the pond dipping in terms of conservation grade nets. Probably only need about 4 or 5 though maximum, but they cost a wee bit more. Anyway, back to this again. We basically, we just roll it up loosely because you want to get the pencil out again. And then you put a piece of eco sellotape, of course. Trying to use less plastic like everybody else. Actually, this zero plastic sellotape is very good because it's very easy to cut. You just do it like that. You don't have to use your scissors or your teeth. And then if you can get the pencil out, yes, voila, the pencil out. So probably sellotape it in a few places. And then you just put it into the tin and you cut it with a pair of scissors. And it should, if you got sellotape on it, it'll stay in place. That one hadn't, but some I made earlier had. So if you just force these in, this is very time consuming, but it really engages children in part of the pollination life cycle. I don't know if you can see that. So then what you have to do is tie a piece of string around it, then tie it to a tree somewhere quite warm, probably not in the wind, and definitely pointing down so that it doesn't get waterlogged. It actually ends up quite dry. So what will happen, a bee will actually come along there, and if you buy this book, I'm not suggesting you do, I'm very happy to send it, you will see that, I don't know if you can see that tonight, but they tend to lay their little eggs there, which become grubs, and it's part of the life cycle as well, and they're solitary. So that's the activity, which is very enjoyable, and children love it because it engages them with conservation science and part of the life cycle, and they're doing something about it. So
Would you mind, you mentioned about emailing the pond dipping resources. Would you mind emailing me just that one as well, if that's all right?
I wouldn't mind. I have equipment lists, so I'm very happy to forward that to you with ones that I recommend.
Great, because I think that would be really useful. That would be really good in the science.
Trays are quite cheap. It's the net, the quality net. I think it's worth getting.
Yeah, I think we have some already in the school, but a lot of those sort of things, you know, the tins and stuff can be donated by parents quite easily. So it's quite a cost-efficient activity.
Indeed, indeed. So I hope that's been useful. It's been a bit of a whistle stop, but we've started with the butterfly. We've gone on to hopefully dragonflies, although we didn't get any dragonfly larvae, which is sometimes called nymph because they look quite like the adults. So it's a model of one. And then we finished up with bees, another model, little solitary bee. I'm not against honeybees at all. I've helped honeybee keepers out over the years, and I think it's a very, very good thing. But most people, they don't have a honeybee hive in their garden. They have to, I think they have to support conservation in another way. So I thought I saw a message from Frances. Are you there, Frances? Maybe it was a message saying she couldn't make it today. Are there any questions?
No, I'm here. Thank you. Hi, David.
Oh, Frances,
yes,
hi. Nice to meet you.
It kept dropping out, so I turned off the video so that I could hear you better. But no, that's been really interesting and really useful. Thank you very much for your time.
Not at all. Keep in touch, and Gabby, I'll certainly send you a list of equipment. I'll do it straight away, first thing tomorrow morning. So
thank you so much. And
maybe not for tomorrow, but for another day, and get resources. And
and hopefully it stays dry and we're able to find some things in our pond tomorrow. So thanks so much for that, explaining how to do it. And fingers crossed it's successful tomorrow. And I'm sure that the children enjoy it either way.
Yeah, I do have to go through a little set of South Downs National Park slides. I fully understand if you want to just listen in the background, but it's got lots of grant aids right through to the end of this month, and we're hoping into the summer as well. So up to about £250 a school, which helps providers like myself to help people that need a bit of help. But that's it's not a hard sell. It's just part of this whole video. So I'm going to probably do that now. So I fully understand if you're going to get on with a bit of marking in the background and keeping your
yes, you know me.
No,
great. Thank you very much, though.
Thank you very much. And Frances, you're welcome to listen in too, but you may be in a park ranger. You may be fully aware of the national park situation in the country.
Yes, pretty much. And I'm going to be running a rivers trip tomorrow, all day tomorrow. But thank you very much for sharing your ideas and your resources. And I dropped a couple notes into the chat of an alternative identification guide that I've used successfully with slightly younger children, because that fold-out FSC one is excellent, but I find that sometimes the younger children struggle a little bit when they're first met with it. So there's an alternative in the chat there. But thanks very much for your time. And
it's really for adults, isn't it? And it's we're very busy interpreting what they've caught to the children. Yeah, for sure. So that'll be very useful. Yeah, I did see. I had a feeling that you were there, so I did see some notes as I was over with the roosters and doing the pond dipping. Yeah, by all means, listen in. But I'm going to start then. It's 5 slides and a little bit of I've got a little bit to say as well. Okay, then listen in, guys. But thank you very much for your time too.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. So I did mention that there are grants available through South Downs National Park. Just going to go through that now. South Downs Learning Network. The South Downs National Park can provide the setting or context for a locally relevant curriculum for your school. Members of the South Downs Learning Network offer a range of trips, outreach sessions where we will come into your school to teach groups, online lessons and downloadable teaching resources. Please consider getting in touch as part of your planning to let us support you as much as possible. The South Downs National Park can provide the setting or context for a locally relevant curriculum for your school. Members of the South Downs Learning Network offer a range of trips, outreach sessions, where we will come into your school to teach groups, online lessons and downloadable teaching resources. Please consider getting in touch as part of your planning to let us support you as much as possible. We appreciate that for most of you, trips into the National Park aren't going to take place on a weekly basis. But by taking part in today's training, you are helping to build learning outside the classroom into your school's curriculum and affording the associated benefits up to pupils and staff. We believe that understanding more about the National Park, from nature to recreation to jobs, is an important part of young people's development, as they will be part of the landscape, not just while in school, but for the rest of their lives. You can find all the education centres and providers on the South Downs National Park website. There are also teaching resources and information about grants for schools, which can support your school with the costs of booking providers and travelling to sites in the National Park. It's also worth checking in with your local authority outdoor education advisor. They offer educational visit coordinator training and a range of help and guidance when it comes to the practical matters around planning trips, including health and safety considerations and compliance. Finally, if today's session inspires you to discover more about the South Downs and national parks in general, it might be worth investigating the learning resources on the National Parks UK website, which includes a scheme of work consisting of 11 inquiries tracing the history of Britain's national parks, exploring their purpose and defining qualities. 7 inquiries focus on how different national parks are managing their precious environments for the future in a sustainable way. This includes finding ways to accommodate increasing numbers of visitors, overseeing biodiversity enhancement schemes, implementing flood control measures, and balancing the needs of economic development with those of environmental conservation. The scheme, with its wealth of resources, detailed background notes, engaging learning and teaching ideas, and assessment guidance, has been written by specialists for teachers at Key Stage 2 and 3. The inquiries will find a natural home in geography, but also has strong cross-curriculum links to English, mathematics, and other foundation subjects. Each is designed to enable pupils not only to build knowledge, but also to master and apply a wide range of geographical skills to ensure that they understand the significance of what they have learned. So yes, and I would like to say thank you also for visiting today. My name is David Melville. If I can help in the future, Nature's Classroom, Environmental Enriching Encounters, just get in touch. My email address is on the website as well. Thank you so much. And I'll just say from Lewis, goodbye, and just have a last look at some of the signs of spring, which are here at last in early March. Goodbye.
Thank you, David. Goodbye.
Bye,
Goodbye.
David. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Francis. Thanks, Gabby. See you later. Bye-bye.